What's up, guys? Episode 225 of the Endless Endeavor podcast. So let me start out by saying this. I had a guest penciled in for this week, and due to life circumstances outside of anyone's control, he had to cancel last minute, and it is what it is. He's a good dude, had a family emergency, and it's all good, and we'll get him back on here in the near future, hopefully. But what it left me is an opportunity to sit down and record an impromptu solo cast. Because I am 225 Thursdays into the Endless Endeavor. I haven't missed one yet, and I don't plan on missing one anytime in the near future. And so instead of being bothered the fact that somebody couldn't make it in, it's all good. And we're just going to talk about some current events, talk about some things that I've experienced lately, and just have a fun solo cast. Solo casts are usually a little shorter, and we go until I run out of things to talk about, and that'll be a wrap. So to start today's podcast, what I wanted to talk to you guys about was my trip down to Phorm. I'm trying to think. I don't think I've recorded any since I made that trip. And there's some important things to touch on, because one thing that they have going down there at Phorm is an absolute unbelievable culture. It's pretty apparent. If you guys are a fan of this show and you're consuming this show, you probably consume some of Andy Frisella's stuff because he's on our team and we stand for the same types of things, and we're freedom fighters. So everything I say today may not be a surprise to anyone, but it's important to talk about because there are a lot of little details that go into building a strong culture like I saw down at Phorm. So let me just open up by saying this. Phorm is a massive company. I went down there I think 2 years ago, and I haven't been down there in quite some time. And it has expanded by like 300%. They have 3 warehouse buildings now, as before, I believe they had 1. And it's just cool to see people that are on a similar mission as us with pursuing personal excellence, pursuing their health, pursuing their fitness, pursuing relationship building, and just having an existence and a life that is meaningful to both you and the community of people that you share this existence with. And as soon as you walk through the door, there are little motivational quotes all over the building. And I don't say that in a demeaning manner. I say that in a capacity where I think it's empowering to have these quotes front and center. So they're just always on the forefront of your brain. And it's something that you're always thinking about when you're inside of that facility. You know, everywhere you look, it's like build meaningful relationships, strive for personal excellence, accountability, and just all the things that we know go into making you the most complete version of yourself that you can be. But when that stuff is front and center constantly, it just is a reminder that the little things matter. And it's a reminder that we have to prioritize these things in our life if we ever want to find success in them. And so I made an Instagram reel. Some of you guys may have seen it, where I was showing the weight room inside of the Phorm facility. And it is fascinating. They're a supplement company, right? That is what they do. They market and sell supplements. And inside of that facility is so much more than supplements. They have a soccer field. They have a full-size basketball court. They have a CrossFit gym. They have like your traditional bodybuilder style weight room with all the machines, all the cardio equipment you could ever need. And that is because prioritizing your own physical body has to be one of the most important aspects of your life if you want to find success in other areas of your life. So that's part of Phorm's, their MO is that they expect their employees to dedicate a certain amount of time and energy to health and fitness. And they are providing a literal state-of-the-art facility to do so. So if you're part of that team, you should have little excuses as to why you would not pursue your own physical fitness. Now, inside of that gym, every single weight is put back in not 1 degree off. All right. And what I mean by that is the labels and the writing on the weights, they are perfectly parallel with the ground. And that is the standard in the gym. When you put the weights away, you dress your weights, and you align them properly, and you make the gym look sharp. Now that sounds almost OCD on some levels, right? But one thing that they preach there is that if you prioritize the small things and you prioritize the little details throughout your day-to-day life, you really don't need to prioritize the big things, because the big things are going to come together by default by living a disciplined and prioritized life. So, hey, if you want to work out in our gym, we take care of the gym. We take pride in our gym. It's clean. It's immaculate. It looks sharp. Everything is dress right dress. And if you want to be part of this culture, we expect you to do the same. And if you don't do the same, if you're caught in there just throwing your weights back and making the place not have that disciplined and immaculate appearance that they're looking for, it's a 30-day ban right out of the gates. You don't put your weight back, 30-day ban from the facility. And when you hear that and you think about that, it sounds kind of dictatorish, right? Like, oh, fuck, dude, I forgot to put a dumbbell back and now I can't train there for 30 days. But here's the deal, guys. Once the standard is set and you let people know the standard and they buy in the standard and they understand the standard, then there's no gray area. And in my experience, people thrive when there is no gray area. And it's actually the opposite of being a power tripper or being a dick or Andy Frisella being a dictator. It's none of that. It's the opposite. The reason it's the opposite is because when you put the standard out, people want a standard. People want excellence. People want things that can build team cohesion and camaraderie, and standards help that. So when he puts the standard out and the standard is, and then you buy into the standard, now we're in this together. Now we have ownership over this gym. We have ownership over the locker room. We have ownership over the bathrooms. And guys, I am not kidding when I tell you this. Every day I saw random people that were, I mean, I have no idea what their official title is, because they have executives and marketers and internet guys and people that work in the warehouse. I mean, they have all kinds of different hats. But what I can tell you is, regardless of what hat those people fill professionally, on just an individual disciplined basis, they're all on the same page. And I can't tell you how many times I saw a random person come into the bathroom and wipe the counters down, wipe the sink down, or grab a bag of garbage and take it out to the dumpster. Or, you know, when I was getting a tour of the facility from Nick Clements, who is a really awesome guy that I got to work with while I was down there. You see a gum wrapper, you see a Zyn in the parking lot, you see a cigarette butt next to the dumpster. Like, he goes and he addresses that instantly and picks that up and cleans it up. And guys, it's very military-ish. You know, I said that to the guys down there. I was like, Phorm runs like a well-oiled special operations team. And I saw a lot of correlations, because in the Ranger Regiment, it was the same type of mentality, is that we take care of our facility, we take care of our common areas, we're clean, everything is dress right dress, we're disciplined. And if you apply that kind of discipline to the little things like picking up a Zyn in the parking lot or taking out a bag of trash when it fills up, what you find is that just becomes the norm. That becomes the standard. And you start to function as a well-oiled machine. You know, they have 0 janitors at Phorm. And I love that, because why should I have to hire another human being to take your trash out when your trash starts to overflow? Like, I know it sounds fucking preposterous to those of us that have been police officers, or especially that worked in federal law enforcement. Because, guys, I'm here to tell you, when I worked in federal law enforcement, man, we had like teams of women that were like of Somali descent, I believe, because most of them don't speak English. And they're wiping the bathrooms down, and they're taking your garbage out, and they're wiping all the tables down in the common area, in the lunchroom. And it's a nonstop process. And you know what that does, guys? It breeds laziness. All right. Now, listen, you can say, oh, well, we're providing jobs for people. Okay, fine. If you need to come up with things for people to do to provide jobs, I'm sure there's more productive things that we could be doing as a country than allowing a massive percentage of our workforce to just be lazy bones and just, hey, you know what? I'm not going to wipe the crumbs up off my table in the lunchroom after I ate because there's a couple ladies standing over there and they're going to do it as soon as I leave anyways. It builds laziness. It builds complacency. And that's not the standard, guys. That's not the standard in Ranger Regiment. That's not the standard in First Phorm. And really, it shouldn't be the standard anywhere. When did you become so fucking important that you can't wipe your crumbs up after you've eaten your fucking sandwich? Like, that's a pretty arrogant place to arrive at, to say, hey, this woman over there is going to clean up my crumbs when I'm done. Like, you aren't fucking royalty. And even if you were, that's gross. Like, I don't care what your title is, how much money you make. And that's the beauty of First Phorm. Andy and Sal, owners of the fucking company, everybody looks up to them as inspirational figures and leaders in their life. And guess what they're doing? They're wiping the urinal down if they dribble piss on it. They're wiping the sink down if they see a fucking drop of water on it or hair. And guys, it's fucking massively beneficial to get buy-in if people see you doing it and leading from the front. And it leads me to talk about my jiu-jitsu academy. You know, at First Phorm, everybody is an employee, right? So at the end of the day, the leadership in First Phorm has a little more control over whether people clean up after themselves or meet the standard that is set, right? Because in my jiu-jitsu academy, everybody that I share time and space with are clients and team members. And I can't say, hey, if you don't fucking do this, I'm going to do that. Like that. That's not the relationship I have with people. And I don't want that relationship with people, if we're being honest. But I was thinking about, how do I get that level of buy-in on the facility, on the team, on being willing to be a leader and step out front and make sure that the little things are taken care of. How do you get that in a jiu-jitsu academy at the level that they have it at First Phorm? And the truth is, I'm pretty damn close, I think. I'm pretty damn close. And maybe I can't get as much buy-in because, like I said, I'm not an employer, but I think culture building is key. Culture building is what is going to set your team apart from other teams. And the conclusion that I've come to over the last couple of days is it doesn't matter if they're an employee or they're a coworker or they're a friend or they're a jiu-jitsu student or they're a family member. I think when people come together for a common goal, and that can be selling supplements or that can be learning jiu-jitsu. When you have a group of people that come together for a common goal, when they see leaders leading from the front and setting standards, it actually makes things operate smoother. And it makes things, it builds more team cohesion. And it gives people a reason inside of them to want more buy-in and want more ownership over the gym or over the team or just over the experience that we're sharing together. And it reminded me of a gym that I used to be a part of. And I talked about this on a couple podcasts ago. I think it was the one with Tyler Williams, where it's like, hey, white belts, as soon as the final bell rings, white belts clean the mats. And white belts clean the mats was always said in almost a derogatory manner. Like, obviously they're not talking shit to people or making them feel bad about themselves, but it's kind of like, oh, us upper belts have earned it, so you white belts get down there and clean those mats. And I remember to this day when I would hear that thinking, man, what a backwards way of trying to motivate people to have ownership over the academy. Because when you want your people to have buy-in on you, your mission, your academy, your business, whatever it is, when you want people to have buy-in and ownership over it, you're never going to get ownership and buy-in from forcing it. Trust me, guys, the military in a lot of aspects tries to force ownership and buy-in, And it just doesn't work well. It simply doesn't. Sure, you might be able to force people to behave a certain way, and you might be able to force them to give you a certain amount of effort, because if they don't, there's going to be hell to pay and I'm going to smoke them or whatever it may be, right? But you're going to give people the opportunity to give you way more buy-in and way more effort if they see you doing it first. And they're not motivated to complete the task because of an order. They're motivated to complete the task because they say, hey, I see Sergeant over there doing it. Maybe I should go give him a hand. Dude, a perfect example of this is when I went to Bari Kaut, Afghanistan, and we stood up a safe house. We stood up this safe house way out in the middle of nowhere. You can look it up on Google Maps, Bari Kaut. It's along the Paki border, way up in the northeastern corner. And one of the things that we had to do was dig a septic tank. And so we dug a pit that you could have pushed probably like 2 Humvees into, a massive, massive pit. And the Ranger Regiment was like, hey, Anderson, take your team out there and dig this pit, right? And I'm not really casting shade at the Ranger Regiment, but this is just a kind of a truth of that unit, is that E5s will be details leaders, and E4 and below, they're the ones that are putting in the work. And they're the ones that are out there with a fucking pickaxe and a shovel. And those are your people that are doing the work. While typically your E6 and above and your officers, they're not doing bitch work like that. It's not how the Ranger Regiment works. They don't do area beautification. They don't fucking pick up the first sergeant's lawn. Like, that's just not how the Ranger Regiment works. But there was a dev group team out there. And, all those guys were like master sergeants and above. They were fucking salty Muldoons. And I remember 3 or 4 of them came out and took their shirts off and grabbed a shovel and a pickaxe. And one of them said, well, we plan on shitting in this too. So we figure we should be out here putting in the work. And it's like, man, you want to talk about the young Rangers having buy-in on the SEALs that were out there with us? Fuck what happens on missions or PT or how squared away of operators they are. Just saying, hey guys, we're going to be shitting in this septic too. So we're going to get our hands dirty with you guys. The little things matter. And that's my point. I'm bringing all this up. The little things matter. So at my jiu-jitsu academy, when the final bell rings, I don't say, white belts clean the mats. And I don't say white belts clean the mats for 2 reasons. One, there's a very, very, very particular way in which you clean a jiu-jitsu academy. If you do not clean a jiu-jitsu academy to standard, you will get ringworm, staph infections, impetigo, all kinds of nasty shit starts to grow inside of a jiu-jitsu academy if you don't take care of it. Well, that's black belt level knowledge on how to take care of the mat room. And if you just push that off onto some new white belts, well, that's going to lead to people getting sick. That's my opinion. And the reason that I say that is because the academies that I've seen that don't have a lot of ownership in cleaning, they're funky, man. And you get a lot of shit. I had ringworm for years and years, and I literally just thought that was part of training. And then once I moved to Joao's academy, I was like, oh, I've never had ringworm again. Nobody has any nasty diseases here. What's going on? And I know this is shocking to hear, but when you take care of your mats, they take care of you. So that's one reason why I don't push it off on the newest people in the academy. This is what I do. I talk about the day's training. I talk about anything we have to put out. We then bow out, and the bow out process means every single person on the team shakes hands and hugs with every single person on the team. That is our way of saying thank you for training with me. Thank you for being part of tonight's training. Thank you for being part of my team. And it's fucking awesome. Every single night that I watch that, and I've been doing it for years, it still hits me. And it's like, look at this, man. We got 50 people hugging, 50 grown adults hugging each other and saying, thank you for being a part of my evening. That's fucking powerful. And as soon as we're done with bow out, I'll typically go grab the leaf blower or I'll grab the vacuum, because that's what you have to take care of first. You have to get all the hair, all the dust bunnies, all the nastiness off the mats first, consolidate it, vacuum it up. Then we go into disinfecting everything. By the time I have a vacuum or a leaf blower in my hand, there's 4 other people that are scrambling to get the other pieces of equipment, to get the mop, to fill the mop bucket, or it's actually a backpack bucket where it's like one of those backpacks that you use for weed sprayers, but we put our disinfectant spray in there. So someone's getting the weed sprayer on or filled up or putting new solution in it. Someone's grabbing a vacuum. Someone's grabbing a leaf blower. Someone's grabbing the mop. And guys, it functions like a well-oiled machine because everybody knows what the standard is, because I set the standard from the front and I lead. And I know this sounds like, oh yeah, this is earth shattering, Greg. You pick up a leaf blower and you start to clean. It's not earth shattering. That's the whole point in bringing this up. It's the opposite of earth shattering. It's the small things, and it's the small things that matter. And when you prioritize the small things, the big things come together. And I saw that in First Phorm. I see that in the Ranger Regiment. I saw that I see that in my Jiu-Jitsu Academy. And so as a part of building culture, and building culture can be for your profession, for your job, for your family, for a sports team that you're either leading or a sports team that you're a member of, the small things matter. And it doesn't matter if you're at the top of the food chain or if you're the newest guy on the team. If you show others around you that the small things matter to you, they're going to have buy-in in you. They're going to know that you prioritize the team and that you care about the mission. And as a default of caring about the mission, man, that fucking means you care about me too. And that's powerful. Guys, you've heard me say it on the show a million times. We are tribal by nature. And if you don't lean on the people to your left and your right, good luck finding success in this world. There are a handful of people that stand by the mantra, I don't give a fuck what anyone thinks. And if you're one of those people, cool. All right? If you're one of those people that has the autonomy to be able to live on your own without powerful relationships and without good people helping you along the way, man, good on you. But for 99.9% of us, we can't do that. We can't do that emotionally, and we can't do that logistically, because our day-to-day life requires that we share time and space with other people. So if you're one of those people, like myself, that shares time and space with a lot of different people throughout your day, try prioritizing the small things. Show these people that are sharing time with you, show these people that the little things matter, and watch the relationships you have become stronger. It's fascinating. It's super fucking fascinating. And man, I love geeking out on leadership and the psychology of building strong teams and bringing people together, because that is really what life is about. That's really what it's about when it's all said and done. So another thing that I wanted to discuss today in regards to my trip down to First Phorm was the media workout that we all did. Now, I went down there for a jiu-jitsu seminar. We taught 2 seminars, and I am more than happy with the turnout and the vibe and the lesson plan that we delivered. People left with smiles on their face, and people left with a fire inside of them to lean into jiu-jitsu. And that's the mission. You know, I tell people anytime I teach a seminar that's outside of jiu-jitsu people, right? If I'm going to an academy to teach some jiu-jitsu, everybody there is already bought into jiu-jitsu. I'm not trying to sell jiu-jitsu. I'm trying to show you how my butterfly sweep works. But when you go to something like this, it's a very different mission. The mission is not, I want to show you a very specific technique to help hone your game. The mission is, man, jiu-jitsu has enriched my life so much. I hope that I can show them the value in jiu-jitsu so they can now seek it and find a team and find an academy. And now their life can start to reap the benefits from training jiu-jitsu. That's the mission when you teach seminars to people that don't have training. And I'm always very upfront, and I say that. Listen, guys, we're going to spend 2 hours together. Inside of these 2 hours, we're going to expose you to a lot. And what you get exposed to is not going to make you a proficient fighter. It's not going to save you if someone attacks you this evening in the fucking Walmart parking lot. What the next 2 hours are going to do is expose you to something new. After that, if you enjoyed the process, you got to go seek it. You got to go put the time in, and you have to prioritize jujitsu if you ever want to pull the value out of jujitsu. Jiu-jitsu will not give anything to you that you don't earn from it. And that's one of the beautiful aspects of it. And so people had a blast. And a lot of people came up to me and Lappin afterwards and said, hey, man, this was super interesting and I'm hooked already. And I can't wait to find a gym. Like all those things, we heard a lot. And that means mission success, right? So then the next day they said, and Lappin had to fly out. He had a course to teach in San Bernardino. The next day, they say, hey, Greg, we're doing what we call the media workout. Once a month, we do a workout with the team, and it's filmed by our media team, and it's just something we use to build content and make our reels for Instagram and all the stuff that, that big companies are always putting out. We'd like you to do it with us. Fuck yeah, dude. I'm in. And I can tell you guys that workout was somewhat life-changing for me. And the reason is because I was on the bottom of the totem pole. I was not a top performer. I was on the low end of performance. And guys, if I'm being honest, that was fucking embarrassing to me. And it made me have to reflect a lot on my fitness journey over the last, I would say, since February, and think about my strengths, my weaknesses, where I want to prioritize health and fitness, and what I need to change. And at the end of the day, I have been prioritizing jiu-jitsu more than anything. And my jiu-jitsu is good. I know my jiu-jitsu is good. My jiu-jitsu speaks for itself. And anybody that puts their hands on me is going to know I have good jiu-jitsu. Win, lose, or draw, you're going to know I have good jiu-jitsu. But what I think has been happening as a result of that is I'm relying on my good jiu-jitsu too much in the gym, and I'm not getting pushed physically to the capacity that I used to get pushed at jiu-jitsu. Because as you get older, you hone your technique, and I'm turning 44 in 2 weeks. Like, I've been doing jiu-jitsu for 21 years now. I can really dictate the pace of the fight with most people. Now, obviously, if Buchecha comes up here and grabs a hold of me, I don't get to dictate fuck all. I get that. But 9 times out of 10, I have the overwhelming say in how high or low I turn the intensity dial on this roll. And if I want to turn it down to an intensity 2 and just use pure technique with my blue belts and let them work, man, my heart rate really doesn't go up. That is not because I'm a good athlete. That's because I have learned to manage my energy to a point where I utilize technique, leverage, skill, and timing to win, as opposed to brute force, strength, and just fucking going hard. Now, because I've done that for so long, I think I've arrived at a false truth where I still think, man, I'm in really good shape because I can hang with all the studs here. You take my young 22-year-old studs and put 5 minutes, 6 minutes, 7 minutes on the clock. We slap and bump and we get down. And I usually come out on top of that. And I'm realizing for the first time that the reason I'm coming out on top of that is simply because I have better jiu-jitsu. But when I was tested on just pure athleticism alone, I didn't perform to a standard that I was proud of. And it's fucking haunting me, as you can tell. It's haunting me. In Ranger Regiment, I was average. I tell you guys all the time. Andy Stump said he was average at best in the SEALs, and I've stolen that phrase from him. And I say that in regards to the Ranger Regiment. But average in the Ranger Regiment was still stud, right? I could still run. I could still ruck. I was strong. And now I'm reaching a point in my life where I was on the low end of performance in that room, and it's troubling to me. Now, here's the thing, guys. As we age and our bodies get older, I'm to the age now at 44. Father Time is going to start to pull ahead. Father Time has a say in my capability. And as much as I hate to admit that, there's an element of truth to that, and it's undeniable, right? Is my physical prime behind me? Man, that's a tough question to ask, because I do believe 44-year-old Greg sitting in this office right now could beat the shit out of any previous version of me. Even when I was 26 years old and doing MMA and taking some cage fights, like, I'm so much more proficient as a martial artist now that I would take that dude down and mother's milk him. And there's nothing he could do about it. So it's cool that my skill and my technique continues to progress with age, but Father Time's catching up with me. My knee hurt for a week after that workout. I couldn't bend my knee for about 4 or 5 days, much past 90 degrees. And for those that know me, my knee, hip, and ankle mobility is pretty elite. Like, to not be able to bend my knees past 90 degrees is because I was hurt. I injured myself. My knee was swollen, filled with fluid. And for those of you that don't know, my orthopedic surgeon told me at 37 I needed a full knee replacement. And I said, fuck you. And I did stem cells instead. Here I am 7 years later, feeling pretty good. So I'm happy that I didn't do that full knee replacement. But my body's fucking beat down. I put a lot of miles on it, and it's not what it was. And here's the dichotomy of being an aging athlete is, as the physical body starts to wane, we've now put in enough reps and enough time to where the knowledge side and the wisdom side is starting to grow into its real potential. And that's the natural progression of life. As one aspect of you wanes, another grows. And it's just moving you into another phase of life. So I know when I move into my 50s, 60s, fucking 70s, if I somehow make it that far, that I'm going to continue to be in more pain. My body's going to be less capable. But I think as long as I understand that that's the natural progression, and I lean into leadership and sharing wisdom and building up those around me and helping the team, I think that that's probably just the natural life cycle that men go through. You know, you can't be a warrior your whole life. Eventually you become the village elder. But you know what? Those warriors will sit around the campfire with you. They'll listen to your stories, and they'll derive wisdom and truth from you. And we all know that that's the natural progression of life. But when you're going through it for the first time as a man, it kind of stings. It kind of stings, if I'm being honest. And so, yeah, that's been on my mind a lot since leaving that facility, because you never think it's going to be you. And then one day it is you. And, you know, I talked about this with my Forged Ferocity team. I talked about it with some friends, and I still have to hold perspective, right? I know guys that were shot through the spine at 19 that haven't gotten out of their wheelchair in 22 years. Like, I know men that went through that. So for me to feel bad that my knee is starting to give out and I can't CrossFit like I used to, it's like, oh, boo fucking who, cry me a river, right? But at the end of the day, like, your story is your story, and it's going to affect you. And it's cool to hold perspectives to help you kind of stay grounded. But when you go from someone that was super athletic and super fit and super capable, and you got a taste of what starting to be on the decline feels like, man, it's something that I have to fucking sit with. And so don't misconstrue this as I'm taking my foot off the gas, or I'm going to try and like lean into the intellectual side of life and pull the reins back on the physical side of life. Fuck all that. I'm going in still. I'm going to do what I can do, but I have to be smart. I have to take care of myself, and I have to train in a capacity that does have longevity in it. And guys, CrossFit for me doesn't have longevity. That's why I stopped doing CrossFit a couple years ago. I'd already seen the writing on the wall. I've already felt that lesson, but this one was front and center because it was being filmed and I was with 20 people and it was just like, man, look at you. You're sucking right now. And so that's enough on that, other than, I guess I'll tell you really quickly what the workout was and then we'll move on. It was a series of sprints. There's teams of 4, right? And the first workout, and it was all a competition. So that changes the dynamics. We're not just fucking working out, we're competing. The first workout was a series of sprints, which my team came in second. It made me happy because I'm an old man, but I can still sprint. I can run pretty fucking fast. I still have that. We came in second on that one. And then the next 5 minutes was you have 5 minutes to establish a max power clean. Fuck, guys. Like I have no business doing that. I haven't fucking done a power clean in so long. And now I'm just going to fucking find a max power clean in 5 minutes. So I went up to 195. And to tell you the truth, that's about where I felt fucking comfortable even trying to push any further then. Could I have added another 5, 10, maybe 15 pounds and got it? Probably. But at the same time, man, shit was feeling a little strange. And I knew that was about my limit. And then after that, we all had to pick up what's called the rogue worm. And your team of 4 would have to do lunges with the worm up and down this turfed area. And you're looking for max distance. And guys, that worm, I want to say it weighs like 600 pounds. It's something fucking preposterous. Think of a log. It's basically a log that's a giant sandbag. So when you're doing log PT, if one person dips down a little bit, he kind of buddy fucks the person to the front and behind him because it transfers weight onto them. You can't hide with the rogue worm because it's like a long sandbag. Doesn't matter if you're taller or shorter. It conforms to you. That fucking weight is on your shoulder and you're carrying your weight. And fuck, man, by the end of that thing, I was like dry heaving and trying to hold throw up down, which I did successfully. And so, yeah, it's just something to think about. I know a lot of you guys out there listening are in the same boat as me. You know, we're in our 40s. This is a transitional phase of life. And I just think it's something interesting to talk about. Other things that I think should be discussed right now is, I had a guy write me not too long ago on Instagram. He's like, when's Angry Anderson coming back out? And I said, hey, you're going to get a taste of Angry Anderson when Tyler Williams is on, which was last week. So you guys got that. But man, I'm never one of those guys that sits down and is like, oh, I'm going to be upset today and I'm going to stir the pot and I'm going to try and get people fired up. It's like, dude, I'm just me. And I share what I'm feeling, what I'm thinking. And if I'm fucking fired up, then I share fired up shit. And if I'm not going to. Because the second you try and put out content that is disingenuous or not coming from a place of truth, people feel that. People know that. And now you're just like all those other motherfuckers on TV or on the radio pretending to have outrage or pretending to be upset about this or that. And it's like, everybody's sick of that. We're fucking sick of it. People want truth. And so, but guess what? Sometimes truth involves being angry because there's a lot of bullshit going on. Our country is in no shortage of bullshit right now. And of course, because it's an election season and we got about a month before the election takes place. And this is the fucking this is the last phase of the campaign trails for these people. It's coming to a conclusion. It's going to be at a conclusion soon. And one thing that I'm so fucking sick of hearing people ask, like they asked JD Vance at the vice president debate, do you agree to accept the outcome of the election? Like, fuck you for even asking that question. Fuck you for even asking that question. Because I'm not going to be. Why are they asking that? They're asking that so once shady shit happens and you say, hey, hold on a second, that doesn't make sense. That seems like election fraud. Then they're going to pull that clip of you and say, oh, look, you said that you would accept the outcome, and now you're not accepting the outcome. Like, what a stupid fucking question to ask. Because anybody can answer that question. You know what the fucking answer to that question is? I'll accept the outcome, or I won't accept the outcome based on what the fuck happens. Duh. Just like anything. Like, I'm going to give you my concluding thoughts on something that hasn't occurred yet. Like, and it's manipulation tactic, and they're trying to get a I gotcha moment. Will you accept the outcome? I will accept the outcome if everything looks like it ran smoothly and it looks like fucking integrity was maintained and people did the right thing and I lost the race in an honorable manner. Of course I would accept the outcome. What the fuck am I going to do? But if the same shit happens like last time, where 2 a.m. comes around and all these ballots just showed up and all these misplaced ballots and the lost ballots and the ballot harvesting, and all of a sudden fucking Joe Biden pulls ahead by 10 points in an hour, like every single lost ballot, every single one of them happened to be for Joe Biden. Not one lost ballot was for Trump. Like, guys, if it looks like bullshit's afoot, bullshit's probably afoot. And we have the right to question that. Like, our government doesn't have the right to bully us into a position where we can't say, hey, that doesn't look right. That doesn't feel right. Something feels off. They hate it when we question them because we're not just being the good little boy and the good little girl and sitting down and doing what they're told. They hate it when we question their integrity. They hate it when we question their practices. And so they're trying to get out ahead of it and just, will you accept it? Well, I'm going to let you in on a little secret. We already know a bunch of bullshit's taking place. So no, if you fucking cheat and steal and lie, we're not going to fucking accept it. We don't have to fucking accept it. And a little bit of Anger Anderson's coming out because, guys, this last week has been tough for me. This last week, we've seen Hurricane Helene destroy Western North Carolina. And, I know some people out there. It's fucking catastrophic what's happening out there. And you guys see what they said today? You saw what was on the news? Secretary Mayorkas said, FEMA's out of relief funds. We don't have the funds. We have no funds for the remainder of this fiscal year. And then the next fucking thing that was said was FEMA's budget was mostly extinguished, giving funds to illegal immigrants crossing the border. Now, guys, I try and not spread misinformation or fucking radical right-wing propaganda. That's what they'll say that is. But the numbers are out there. We gave away so much of our fucking money. We squandered it. We squandered money away to the point where now that our citizens are in legitimate need, life or death need for water, food, and shelter. The basic pillars of necessity of survival. Shelter, food, and water. We have a bunch of Americans that are displaced from their families. They've lost everything. You see Tim Kennedy, his team's out there doing search and rescue, and he said it is literally apocalyptic. Entire towns are missing. Like, we can't even comprehend what the fuck that really entails until your boot's on the ground and you're experiencing that. But our own government has given, 24 billion to Ukraine, several billion to Israel, several billion to Afghanistan still, several billion to Somalia. And it's like, guys, you've heard me say this before too. If our country was prosperous. We were not in debt. We had a surplus of cash and resources. Guys, I'm all about helping planet Earth. You've heard me say the phrase over here, over there. Like, it doesn't matter to me. A human being is a human being. And if we can enrich your life and we can help you and we have the capacity to do that, then fuck yeah, let's have America be the fucking shining beacon in planet Earth. But we ain't there anymore. We're not there anymore. We are crumbling from within and hemorrhaging funds out to the rest of the world like fools, like fucking fools. And as we hemorrhage our fucking money to the rest of the world, we're collapsing from within. And now our own citizens are fucking going without. Our own citizens are facing hardships that are fucking incomprehensible. And you motherfuckers said we're going to give you $700? My house just got washed away and I lost everything. And you're going to give me $700. Now it's like, there's people that are out there like, well, they decided to live in a floodplain and you reap what you sow and it's not our responsibility to take care of everybody. And it's like, guys, we are pissing money away at a rate that we can't even fucking comprehend for the rest of planet Earth. But we can't fucking take care of our own people that are going through a biblical catastrophe. Something's off, guys. Something's off. It doesn't make sense. Guys, we are allowing these fucking people to absolutely squander our fucking money. Fucking squander it without any regard to you or your family or your well-being. And it's because they don't give a fuck about you. And we're going to continue to sit here and give our money to these people, let them take our money from us so they can keep fucking making backdoor deals and fucking squandering it. Like, how much longer can we allow that to go on for? And here's the thing, guys. Think about what they're really squandering. I want you to think about what these motherfuckers in DC are really squandering. Because they're not squandering your money. You know what they're squandering? They're squandering dinner with your children. They're squandering going to a baseball game with your son. They're squandering you making it to jiu-jitsu class because you had to work overtime. They're squandering you missing your fucking daughter's dance recital. They're squandering a weekend away with your fucking wife. That's the shit they're squandering. Think about that. Put that into fucking perspective. That's what they're fucking squandering. They're depriving you and me of literal life moments of peace and happiness and joy with our loved ones and our families. Because guess what, guys? Everybody's so fucking strapped right now that you're working your ass off. You're taking those overtime shifts. You're burning the candle at both ends so they can steal the money from you. And then they can go fucking allocate it to all their backdoor deals that they've already fucking buried in bills that are 4,000 pages long that Congress had 24 hours to fucking read. They steal it from you in these fucking mobster style tactics. And when they steal that money from you, it's depriving you of what you could be doing with your time. They are not stealing money from you. They are stealing time. Because for most people in America, you are trading time for dollars. That's how most careers work. That's how most professions work. That you are trading time for dollars. So for every fucking, however, whatever, what is your salary, right? Do you make fucking $40 an hour? All right. If you make $40 an hour, go look at how much money you fucking had stolen from you from the federal government and then divide that by 40. And that's how many hours they've taken away from your life. And we should be fucking mad about it. And we should be fucking doing something about it. And I think that day's coming. Like, this is not sustainable. These motherfuckers are stealing us blind, and then they're squandering our time. I mean, that's a fucking death sentence. Like, fuck you. You're taking my time and making me your slave. And that's what they're fucking doing. And so, I've read the excerpt from the Constitution or the Bill of Rights that said, once government has become destructive, it is not only the people's right, but the people's duty to dismantle it and build a new one. So for all you motherfuckers out there that are like, you can't talk about standing up against the government. Yes, I can. Our fucking Constitution says it, you dumb motherfuckers. We have the right, when the government no longer serves the people, to say, fuck you. We have that right. And like I always say, Agent so-and-so who's been tasked to listen to this show, I'm right too. But you're just too big of a fucking pussy to stand up and say the truth. And so we have Americans that are stranded, that are starving, that are fucking deprived of water. And we don't have the funds to support them because we've let these motherfuckers squander our time and our money. When are we going to say enough's enough? At some point, we have to come together and say, fuck you, we're not playing your game anymore. And that probably looks like refusing to pay taxes. And if I refuse to pay taxes, some fucking specialized team is going to fucking arrest me and put me in a cage. But if we all say fuck you, what can they do? What can they do? Yeah, what can you do when we all said we've had enough? And that's the power in numbers, guys. That's why they keep us divided. That's why they keep us hating each other. That's why if you're gay and I'm straight, we have to hate each other. If you're black and I'm white, we have to hate each other. You're fucking pro this, I'm anti that. We have to hate each other. Like, it goes on. And all the hate should really be directed at them because they're the common enemy. They're fucking destroying our country. And at the same time, they're stealing hours of your life to fucking pay their butt buddies in backdoor deals. Think about that. So yeah, I'm not feeling too crazy this morning, but that's something that's fucking heavy to think about. It's something that's heavy. And President shits his pants. I'm sure you guys have seen the little excerpts and the reels going around Instagram. And one this morning, they're like, Mr. President, what do you, I forget exactly how it was phrased, but he's like, the reporter was asking something in regards to providing aid for victims of the storm. And I shit you not, he's like, what storm are we talking about? I don't know. Maybe the most catastrophic fucking storm. I don't know. There was a rainstorm in Lake Stevens this morning. Just gonna go out on a limb and guess that the reporter wasn't talking about that storm. You dumb motherfucker. Like, guys, we got the dumbest people with the lowest. The evil politicians used to have high IQ and low EQ, right? Like your Bill Clintons, your Barack Obamas, your Gavin Newsoms. Like, they're not dumb human beings, but they're emotionally corrupt. Now we got people that are not only emotionally corrupt with no EQ, but it's like they're as dumb as a fucking box of rocks. I might not be the sharpest tool in the shed, but I can sit down here and discuss my thoughts for 54 minutes and 8 seconds. That's where we're at. It hasn't been difficult. I'm literally just a human being with thoughts and a fucking vocabulary, and I share what I think. I share what goes through my mind. How the fuck can these people not be able to do that? Well, I'll tell you why. There's a couple reasons. One, in regards to our president, he's literally too cognitively disabled to be able to just sit there and articulate thoughts. That's the case with him. But the truth is, That's always been the case with him, because before his dementia was running rampant, the reason why people can't sit down and just share their thoughts is because they're caught in a web of lies. And they say certain things to certain audiences, and they say other things to other audiences, and they're always managing themselves inside this web of deceit and this web of lies. And that's why when they speak, it's of little substance, because they have to just kind of bounce around some talking points and keep it kind of lighthearted and silly. You hear Kamala fucking cackling all the time. Oh, you come into my house, you're going to get shot. It's like Krusty the Clown. Like, that's how fucking preposterous this is. We have allowed these people, who are the dumbest, least capable people, but because they swore allegiance to this fucking evil cabal that has slowly gained power over the last 100 years, man, we just let them do whatever the fuck they want to us. Well, you know what? Fuck every single one of you. Fuck every single one of you. And we're coming for you. The fucking tides are going to turn, not because I want them to, because they have to. They have to. You can't fucking sit down and just be a real person. You can't give real perspectives. You can't give real thoughts. Like, dude, I think J.D. Vance did a very good job. I didn't watch the whole vice president debate, but I watched a portion of it. I think he did a pretty good job at just coming across as a real human being, and that's what we fucking need right now. But make no mistake, guys, most of the people in the Republicans side of the house are our enemy as well. You know, and Joe Kent is a friend of mine. Semi Bird is a friend of mine. Like, I have personal friends that are inside of the Republican Party that are trying to move into politics to try and affect change. And that's because if you're a real man with a real vision and want to affect real change, that's really the only place right now, because there are some fucking Republicans that their brain still works properly. But if you detach and you look at both parties as a whole, they're both falling into this evil cabal that just does what they're told, and they all fucking agree to send our money all over the world and fucking rob us blind. And it's certainly not America first. So what do we need? Do we need a third party? Every time a third party has ever become has even been put on the table, everybody just kind of blows it off as an impossibility. And the thing is, I remember Ross Perot when I was a kid. The third party candidate is inevitably going to draw from the left more or draw from the right more. So the concern is, anytime a third party comes in, it just allows one of the other superpowers to more easily take control. That's not what we need out of a third party. That's the opposite of what we need out of a third party. We need a third party that is a fucking grassroots movement of people that are like you and I, that are sick of the fucking bullshit. And guys, it's by the bullet, or it's by the ballot, or by the bullet. Those are the two things that's going to change American politics. That's it. We either figure out a way to do this with fucking voting, or it's gonna lead to some type of violent revolution. That ain't my fucking Nostradamus moment. That's just the reality of human fucking beings. How much longer are we gonna get our money stolen from us and squandered before we say, you know what, fuck you? How much longer? We'll see. Will it be my lifetime? I don't even know. But I know the time will come when people like you and people like me have had enough. And so, there. For those of you that said you haven't had enough Angry Anderson, I got after a little bit. I feel warm. Like, I feel like I'm overheating a little bit. That's usually a sign of feeling fired up inside. But no, it's just things to think about. We are in a weird fucking place right now. We're in a weird place right now. As far as other things that get me fucking fired up and make me want to get on the fucking microphone and rant, it's hand sanitizer. Like, why the fuck are you using hand sanitizer all the time? It drives me nuts when I see people do that. People still wearing masks in 2024. That's another one. People that eat at Panera Bread. Like if I wanted a dry sandwich with an apple that's half the size of a normal apple, I'd fucking go to my grandmother's house. But some people go pay for that. Blows my fucking mind. People that are content being fat and lazy, that aren't on the path and refuse to get on the path, that fires me up to no end. Just sitting there, allowing your body to rot, and drop-in fees at jiu-jitsu academies fucking pisses me off too. Like if you're from out of town and you want to train with me, come train with me, dude. I don't need you to fucking pay me money for that. Like come train with me. And when I'm in your town, I'll train with you. But yeah, those are things that fire me up. And that's what we're going to end on. So fuck yeah, guys. Fun episode. We're at an hour. We'll be back next week with fucking cool guests as always.